Hello friends, hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to this live stream. So we're going to be doing a little bit of Arban today. Thank you everyone who's joining me. Before we get into all the practice, could you please do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel. That will help me a lot with these live streams. And with that being said, few disclaimers. I'm going to be answering questions in between my practice, so if you'd like your question to be answered, please put a question mark at the end of your question and keep on putting the questions, because I'm probably gonna read the latest question just because the chat becomes very long and it's quite overwhelming to read everything through. So I would greatly appreciate if you put a question mark if that's the question that's dedicated to me and you'd like me to answer that. With that being said, today we're going to be practicing a little bit of Arbans, and it's going to be a piece called Norma. For those who don't like treble clef, I've got some bad news. Today we're going to be reading from a trumpet book, which is going to be the original Arban. And as you can see, these are the last 2 pages of the book. So I'm going to start working backwards, because variations gradually become more complicated, at least for most part. So we're going to start with the last variation, and I'm just going to give you a little analysis. I briefly looked at this piece yesterday, so I kind of know what to expect. I'm trying to learn a new way of triple tongue that I'm going to explain as soon as I move to the triple tongue variation right here. but we're gonna start with the fourth variation located here. So if you're following the cursor, okay, and there's just a couple of things I've noticed yesterday about this variation. Overall, it's pretty straightforward, simple key. It's pretty fast. It goes pretty fast. You see accelerando, but and you finish. I was thinking at around 150 beats per minute, somewhere around that mark, but. Basically, two tricky spots in this variation is this little bit right here, which starts on the treble F or concert E flat, which goes because you have to coordinate your fingers and tongue just because you are articulating on the same note that your finger send it. So that's kind of a bit more complicated place in this or bar or half of a bar. In this particular variation, and the ending. The ending is not that complicated in a technical aspect as it is in not getting too reckless, just because this is speeding up and it's so easy. You're playing all this hard stuff and you finally get to the slower triplet thing and you just split every single one of them. So don't want to make that mistake. With that being said, we're gonna start a little bit of practicing. One more quick disclaimer. I've been working with this new mixer that I bought, and yesterday I kind of tested the session. Sometimes it does this weird thing, and I haven't figured out whether it was internet related or not, where the sound becomes a little hissy for like 10 seconds. So if you hear that, please let me know in the chat, but it disappears within 10 seconds or like that. I haven't figured out exactly why that's happening, and to be fair, trying to figure out warranty at this point is not the activity I would like to do, at least in the upcoming couple of weeks. With that being said, let's start with the last variation. And normally when I practice, even though it says a shell, so it starts pretty slow, I normally practice tempo changing places and cadenza in that manner. Cadenzas, I try to learn them in tempo. So I go practice them slow and fast despite of a place, and I start with a tempo that I can comfortably play the variation with and end up at the tempo of the fastest place. So the fastest place of the piece is going to be the last couple of bars, which I mentioned. I'm probably going to be aiming at 150 beats per minute, but we'll see how fast we can take it. So to start with, it's pretty sight readable, so I'm gonna start at 80 beats per minute and just see how that works out. If I need to slow down, that's fine. If it feels pretty easy, I'm gonna do pretty significant increments, like 5 or 10 beats with each repeat. Okay, so let's switch on to the metronome, the good old metronome. Okay, one moment. Bingo. Okay, so let's bump that up. Let's bump this up by 5 beats per minute. One thing I straight away noticed that I'll have to watch out is where I'm going to be taking breaths, but at this point it's so slow, so it's hard to tell what would be ideal place. I will probably try and take the logical place would be taking a breath after the 8th note, so that's for sure. But I guess everything up to that I'll have to, and before that I'll have to figure it out as the tempo increases. Okay, so let's put that at 85 beats per minute and let's see what happens. Okay, so I repeated that place in particular just because, not because I played the wrong note, but I just felt a little hesitant in my fingers that E flat natural in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bar to the ending. I just hesitated for a second, so I just wanted to make sure that that sits in my brain. So I just repeated those last couple of bars. That being said, let's put it to 90 beats per minute and see what happens. Okay, so let's try out 95 beats per minute. Hundred beats. Okay, let's bump it up to 105, and I'm gonna go 110, 115, and so on after that. We'll see how that goes. All right. Okay, so this particular time I played it, sorry, this particular time I played it, I would not personally count that as a qualifying repetition just because I took some really bad breaths, more in bad spots. So this is the second time this thing is happening. So normally when that happens, it's time to bring good old friend, Mr. Pencil. Okay, so time to mark in where I'm going to be breathing. So I think two great spots for breaths will be definitely this spot right here where the cursor is after the eighth note and probably right before this shell marking. So for now I'm going to mark in those slightly with my pencil. I hope I might be able to get away without taking a breath after this trill. That would be pretty awesome if I could play this up until here in one breath, but I'll have to go to full tempo to see whether that is a possibility. But that being said, those breaths were not acceptable, so I'm marking the breath marks, so that would not repeat again. Okay, and we'll go back to 120 beats per minute, and this is how my practice session goes. So I just realized I left the microphone covering my face, so I'll try not to forget that so you can see what I'm doing. I know the screen is kind of smallish so you can track the music, but I'll try not to forget to put the microphone down. And I'm going to do a couple more increments, and then I'm going to look through some of the chat questions and answer if you have any. Okay. That being said, for everyone who's just tuning in, I would ask you to do me a big favor and give this video a like, share it with your friends, and of course subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And that being said, let's continue where we left off. 130 beats per minute. So far it's actually going pretty smooth. This variation is quite straightforward, so we'll see how I might not I'll try and see how fast I can play it, how fast I can squeeze out the playing from today's session. That does not mean that I would ever play that fast in the performance, but just to see where I'm at the second session. Okay, let's continue where we left off. And with that being said, I still left the microphone covering my face. That's hilarious. But the reason why I stopped is because you heard me split the ending, so I just repeated that to make sure I get the clarity on every single note. I didn't split it, but the clarity was not great, so that was not acceptable in my terms. So whenever I do that, repeat time. Okay, let's bump it up to 135. Didn't take the breath at the right place. That does not count as repetition, so therefore go back to the beginning. Okay, same mistake again. Didn't take the breath at the right place. The reason now it's getting a little faster, so I'm having a little bit more air reserved. But in reality, when I'm going to be performing, that speed is not going to be as fast. Whenever I practice, I have to take a breath there. No negotiations on that. So therefore, I'm going to repeat that, and also I'm going to put it as a double mark. So make sure that does not skip my eyes. That's just the way you have to do it sometimes. If you don't notice it, make a mistake over and over again, mark it in, or mark it in brighter. Okay, so this is starting to become a little fast, a little sooner than I expected. It's 140 beats per minute, but we can still take it to 145 and 150, I hope. So let's see how that goes. Okay, so that was 150. Let's see if I can play it faster. So normally this would be a good time to stop, and I would mark it in as my day's fastest tempo. So next day I would try to beat that tempo. But let's just have a little fun with this. Let's see how fast I can take it. Maybe I cannot take it any faster, but let's see. How about 155? So that was not the cleanest run, but I'm pretty confident that within a couple days of slower practicing, I could definitely go to 155 because it did not feel overwhelmingly fast. It just wasn't as coordinated in regards to my tongue and fingers like I would normally expect in my performance scenario, but definitely playable on 155. So let's check out 160 and see what happens. So definitely playable at 160. Let's try out 165. Okay, so that's starting to become pretty fast. Let's give it one more go and see. I normally have this free strike rule. This is probably faster than I really need to practice it. So at this point, it's if I fail 3 times in a row, that's it. I move on to next variation. If I get it within 3 times, I would go faster and see how that works out. I'm getting a message from moderator, so let me just quickly have a look at that. Okay, my moderator is pretty slow at typing, so I'm gonna give it another go at 165. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's playable at 165. Now that's becoming a little ridiculous in terms of a tempo. So I'm probably, you know what? Let's try 170 just because it's a live stream. We're having fun. Let's try 170. See what happens. This might not go so well, but well, that's how the practice session goes. Okay, so I'm hearing that the video quality was a little off at one point, but it's back to normal. Okay, so seems all good. Let's try 170 and see what happens there. Okay, so 170 is definitely definitely a stretch. I've heard that it was stuck for like 10 seconds or something like that, but the video, but it's back to normal, so it's all good. Okay, so let's give it one or a couple tries with Accelerando and see how this variation is actually supposed to sound in full. So let me see what comes out of this bell. Okay. Well, that went perfect. Give it another go. I can play all the fast stuff. Apparently, I cannot play slow anymore. Okay, let's give it another go. Okay, so there's a donation by Marco Kaiser. Thank you very much, my friend. I really appreciate it. He says, love your streams. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I'll keep on doing them no matter what. That's the plan. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. And again, if you're enjoying this stream, please give this video a thumbs up. I'm hearing some people are surprised by the treble clef. This is Arban book, original Arban book. So got some news for you folks. Better start learning your treble clef because you're gonna run into quite a bit of treble clef. That being said, again, thank you so much to Marco for donation, and let's go on, give it one more try at this variation. I feel like I could have done a better job at the accelerando, just make it a little bit more logical in terms of how it develops throughout the variation. Okay, so but hey, this is why we practice. So let's give it another go. Okay, so there's obviously more work to be done on this one, but for this session, that'll be it for variation number 4. Now let's go to the lucky triple tongue variation. So I have mentioned in the little notification video that I'm learning a new way of doing triple tongue. So there's 3 ways that you can do it. Well, 2.5, it depends how you look at it. So you can do tataka or dadaga and dagada. That'll be the 2 most popular ways. Now, throughout my years of playing and studying, I found a couple of people who are doing daga 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 daga, and they're phenomenal at triple tongue. So it's kind of like a triple tongue / double tongue, and I never had a chance to spend some good time at relearning a third one because I'm pretty fluent at tataka and dagada, or dadaga and dagada. So I use them depending on what kind of variation and what intervals and how it makes sense. That being said, I'm trying to learn this taka 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 or daga 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 daga, and there's definitely some benefits. I think overall the speed and the smoothness and consistency becomes a little bit easier, but the coordination, I'm just not good there yet. So yesterday I tried practicing this variation, and just to say at least, it did not go all that well. So there are couple of particular places I really struggled yesterday with. So if you looked at the cursor, if you looked at the cursor right here, you should be able to see this place right here where you see B, D, G, or concert A, C, and F. I kept on doing this as da ga ga for some reason, and it's just my brain would shut down like after this bar. If I do it separately, I could easily do that da ga 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 da. So but the problem was whenever I would start this, my brain would just freeze. So we're gonna go to this variation right now. I'm gonna start slowly and see where we at. If that place is still a problem today, because I spent some time on it yesterday, we're gonna isolate that place, that what I would normally do in my practice, instead of what I did with variation number 4. So but before we do that, let me just quickly look through the chat and see if there are any good questions. Okay. Denise Bonura, thank you, fantastic. Thank you very much, I appreciate it. I play French horn, but I also like euphonium. French horns are pretty awesome. I love French horns. We offer shared melody lines. Okay. how do you get such a good tone? I'm going to do a masterclass on tone. So by the way, for those who haven't noticed, I already scheduled a live stream on Sunday. I did not want to bring this up today, but I don't know if you noticed, this channel has reached 20,000 subscriber mark. And I could not be more grateful to all of the fans and people who've been watching my videos. I really, really, really appreciate it. And everyone who's been on a ride for so long with me, and all the new people who are coming in. So on Sunday, that was kind of my 20,000 subscriber party / masterclass type of thing. I was originally planning on doing tongue and then tone masterclass. But since so many of you asked about range, I'm going to do a range masterclass on Sunday, and everyone will be able to download the book I'm going to be using with all the materials for free. Okay, so it's going to be in the description box, so don't miss it on Sunday. And we're going to talk about the range, and then follow-up week will be tongue and then tone. But in regards to tone, there are a couple of things. It's a lot to do with, it's both technique and strength. So in regards to technique, and those are both two related, has a lot to do with the spacing between your aperture and the spacing inside your mouth. So normally, if you have good airflow and good amount of space for air to escape, you'll be able to create a big resonant sound. Now, in order to maintain that space, you need a sufficient musculature, because you don't want to do that by over squeezing or over pressing with the rim. So it's a combination of strength building and technique exercises. That would be a quick answer, but I'm going to go into great detail in one of the masterclasses. That being said, check my educational video playlist, and you'll find multiple videos of me elaborating on that particular topic. That being said, this is the time, this is the moment everyone's been looking for, the time where you get to see when the professional player actually sucks at doing something. So this triple tongue, as I mentioned, did not go, this new daga 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 did not go well yesterday. So I figured it would be a good experience for everyone to just see how I do this and how I work on this. So we'll see how far we can stretch this. So just for now, I'm gonna start at 60 beats per minute, but 60 beats per minute per quarter note is kind of slower, so I'm gonna be subdividing. Normally 80 beats per minute per quarter note is fine, but if it gets 70 is okay. If it gets below 70, I normally like subdividing, so I'm gonna put it at 120. And let's just have a quick look and see where we at today. So hopefully my brain is remembering something from yesterday. Okay, let's move to variation free. It's 120 beats per minute per eighth note. Okay, so it's not terrible, but not great either. So, but we're gonna work on it today, and you'll get to see how much I can improve within 20 minutes. So, just a couple notes that whenever I practice, I instantly noticed when I played now. It's a very bad idea to breathe right before these arpeggiated notes or right before the moving notes. So obviously the tempo is pretty slow, so my breaths are going to be all over the place. But what I normally do when my tempo is slightly slower, it's okay to take all the additional breaths, but I always have a pretty good idea of where I'm gonna take a breath at the full tempo. So no matter how many additional breaths I take, I always make sure that I also take that breath in the right place that I'm gonna be taking at a full tempo. So in this case, I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going to be taking the breaths. I know where I'm not going to be taking breaths for sure. So that's not going to be right before. If I'm going to take a breath somewhere before this bar, it's going to have to be in the middle of this pattern right here, or this pattern. Same with this. Definitely probably want to take a breath somewhere here, so I would not have to take a breath in the middle of this bar, in the middle of this bar, or obviously here. I'm not going to be able to, at least for now, coordinate a breath and all these daga 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 vowels while taking a breath in all the moving notes, because now I'm not in my head. Normally when you learn triple tongue and when you're fluent and you're double and triple, you're not thinking daga 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 daga, you're thinking of the notes, and the tongue is just doing daga 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 daga. Now I'm not thinking about the notes, I'm thinking daga 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 daga, and just because it's still not sitting well in my brain. So we'll see what happens. That being said, let's put the metronome to 125 and see how that goes. Okay, so getting a little bit more comfortable with this, let's put it to 130 beats per minute per eighth note. And I know I said I'm gonna be not gonna be taking a breath in those scaly patterns or arpeggiated patterns, and I did, so that's not great. I'm a little hesitant to put the breath mark in there just because I don't feel like I'm gonna be taking many breaths once it reaches a full tempo, so I don't want this to be mistakenly penciled in. But if I make that mistake one more time, I'll have to pencil in, because again, I've got certain rules in my practice that would not count as a passing attempt or good repetition. It's very important. Be consistent with your breaths, be analytical, be professional. If you're a high school player, if you're a young player, it doesn't matter. Be professional to your abilities. Maybe you're not capable of playing as fast, but you're definitely capable playing a low breath mark, so keep that in mind. Be responsible with how we practice. 135, that being said. But before we do that, let's not forget my favorite grapefruit flavored seltzer water. I've got the super energy now from the grapefruit flavored seltzer water, so I feel like this run is going to be pretty good. Let's see what happens. 135 beats per minute per 8th note. Let's go to 140 bits per minute. $145. I'm telling you that grapefruit flavored seltzer water just has magical powers. 150 beats per minute per eighth note. Okay, wasn't perfect repetition, but we have to move on. That, by the way, that did not happen because of tongue coordination. That was not taking a breath at the right place type of moment where I was thinking, hey, I forgot to take a breath. What am I going to do now? At that time, my tongue kind of said, oh, see ya, bye-bye. And that's what happened. So, but that being said, let's make this mistake not happen again. I think it's time to open up another salsa water. I think my magical powers are running out, so mm. 150 beats per minute. Let's go. It's actually not going as bad as I thought it would be. It did not go nearly as well as it's going today, yesterday. So I'm telling you that grapefruit flavor seltzer water, not even endorsed. But you should try it. Okay, 155. Okay, so I'm getting to the point where it's becoming 160 beats per minute, so I think it's good time to go to the quarter note. So instead of 160, I'm putting it at 80 beats per minute, and let's start thinking about the metronome beat as a quarter note. See how that goes. Okay, so yesterday actually this was where I got really stuck right around 80 beats per minute. So I was increasing 5 beats per minute on the eighth note count. So since now it's back to quarter note, that would equal to 2.5 beat increment. So let's round it up to 3 beats and go from 80 beats per minute per quarter note to 83 beats per minute per quarter note. Hope that makes sense. I just made it sound way more complicated than it is. We're increasing it by 3 beats. Okay, so I'm starting to hear a little bit of, well, actually not a little bit, but a decent amount of inaccuracy in these arpeggiated notes. So I'm gonna pay attention and make sure that my tongue is coordinating, because I'm doing daga daga daga. I think this one is kind of throwing me off a little bit, so I'll just pay attention to that and see what happens. Let's put it at 86 beats per minute. Okay, so this was far from qualifying repeat. So the answer to that is probably going to be powering up a little bit. Cheers. Let's give this another go and see how it goes. But it's starting to... I feel like I've got a lot of speed behind. Actually, this feels like I've got a lot of speed behind, just very little coordination. I'm very... my tongue and fingers are just not coordinating well yet with daga 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 daga. But hey, it's actually 6 beats faster than yesterday, so that's a pretty good progress for one day. And I'm gonna see what I can squeeze out of this within a month or 2 months, and then I'll actually make like a little updates to see the difference between my previous 2 triple tongues and this one. So, but that being said, 86 beats per minute one more time. So it was not perfect, but much better. I'll count that for now. Let's give it a shot at 89 beats per minute and see what happens. All right, and that's literally what I meant by the triple tongue. So far, it's not going all that well with this new variation. So I'm starting to feel that this is becoming a little bit unproductive in terms of going any faster. So normally what I would do, so first of all, let me just quickly put that. Okay, so if you would follow my cursor, normally whenever I see an arpeggio which goes low note, higher note, lower note, normally you don't want to be doing that transition from lower to higher note on gauze. So if I was practicing this under normal circumstances, the triple tongue variation that I would normally use would be da da ga, not da ga da da ga da, but we did da da ga da da ga da da ga da da ga. I think that would be the most appropriate for this particular variation for most part. There's only one place where Dagada probably would be a little bit more beneficial, which is this place, but this is where I am now. So I made 6-beat progress from yesterday, and this is obviously not sounding as flashy as the previous variation, just because, as I mentioned, I'm trying to learn a new variation, but you got to see how I normally practice. So my practice session is pretty dense, and for example, tomorrow when I'm going to be practicing, I'm going to go straight. I'm not going to start with the last variation. That is pretty significantly easier, at least for me. So I'm going to go straight to this variation, which is actually not third variation, it's marked variation 2. So, but I for some reason I called it number 3 and that one number 4. But I'll go straight to this variation and I will start isolating these places. So I will start very, very slowly, probably like as low as low as 100 beats per minute per eighth note on these daga 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 on these variations, and then I'll probably I'll divide this bar into just half a bar and do similar stuff to all the arpeggiated patterns, and then try to glue that into one phrase. So that's how I would approach it. Okay, and I'm getting a notice from my moderator that I've got 7 more minutes. So I'll have to end the stream in 7 minutes. I'm going to go to your questions now. Just because at 4:30 I'm gonna start an extra stream that's a Patreon exclusive stream. So if you'd like to get that bonus stream, you head to patreon.com/Matonizz and you can get your questions answered in greater detail just for as low as $1 a month. But that being said, don't feel obligated, especially now. I feel that this is not the best time advertising all this stuff. I'm trying to provide as many free materials and free streams as possible, and I'm gonna try my best to answer as many questions right now in the chat. So start putting your questions. I'm gonna spend the next 5 minutes trying to squeeze in as many. Okay, sorry I was late. I was doing homework. No problem. Can we have daily practice live stream? Absolutely. We'll definitely do the daily practice routine. I'm normally this is Christopher who's asking, by the way. So normally I was originally planning on doing a little practice session, and then I'm going to do these master classes where I'm going to break down the range, which is going to be more similar to practice routine. That's going to be a range practice routine than tongue. And at some point I can show you my personal practice routine. You can already view my previous practice routine on my educational videos. It's slightly altered by now, but I'm gonna do a stream where I show you my full practice routine regardless. Don't forget to tune in on Sunday at I believe 4:30 or 4:40 p.m. something like that Eastern time. It's already scheduled on YouTube for high register masterclass with free PDFs. And also on Saturday I'm gonna be doing one more stream, probably with my colleague Mike. I still need to confirm where we're gonna talk and try to answer as many of your questions from emails and etc. And for those of you who've been submitting your questions via emails, I'm sorry for delay in response. I've been really behind response with emails. I've got literally thousands of emails, unread emails, or marked as unread because I haven't replied yet in my email, just because I get so many and I don't want to give lame answers. But I do read every single one. What do you do if you have a lip injury? Okay, so that's a great question. I didn't have many so far. I'm very, very, very super careful with how I approach my warm-ups. I'm almost, you would rarely see, I don't think I've ever seen any other professional musician as notorious with consistent warm-up as I am. I normally show up to the concert 2 hours before the show and squeeze in my 30-40 minute very long extensive warm-up just to make sure I don't damage my facial muscles or lips. That being said, one of the series I had a really bad one. That was last year, 2019 November series. My instrument slipped. I was holding it in the intermission, and the instrument, I was holding it in one arm. It slipped, and I was catching it, and the mouthpiece hit my face, and it cut inside my lip, and I swear God, I lost an octave. And the biggest thing, I was going to do a video on that, but I'm gonna try to see if I found that video. Next day, the inside of my lip swelled up, and I was playing banjo and fiddle solo with the brass band. That was probably the best performance I've ever played in my life, to the point where I could not play. Air wasn't moving. I'm pretty consistent with my solo performance. That was a very, very unpleasant experience. I understood that it was due to the swollen lip, but that was the first time I had to ask the conductor to take off my solo for the next concert. First time in my life, and it took me a little while to recover. My range dropped significantly. I was very, very worried because these injuries, you build up scar tissue. Often they don't heal as well. Everyone was kind of comforting me, saying that, hey, you'll be fine, don't worry about it. But it was a pretty bad one. It was last November. It took me a long time to recover. I lost a lot of range. It took me like a month to fully recover. So yeah. Have you ever played Green Hill from Bird Apperman? Yes, I did, and I should probably do a next segment. By the way, let me know in the comment sections in the chat what piece would you like me to practice in upcoming practice streams. I'm thinking actually of Green Hill because I want to record that piece and provide you guys with a downloadable live piano track, live player piano track. That was the plan. Oh, my buddy David, nice to see the educational videos again. Hope you guys up there and are safe and sound and with a house full of toilet paper. Yeah, toilet paper is actually not our problem in Pittsburgh. Is the disinfectant wipes, which is apparently it's impossible to get. But hey, I hope you, your wife, and your children are doing well as well, David. Nice to see you, buddy. Which clef do you like the most? Alban. I'm not going to try the surname because I'm probably going to butcher. Both. I was originally trained in treble clef, but bass clef is what I normally see now the most in our brass band repertoire. But I'd say a 50-50. I'm not going to try and find a bass clef Arban book. I'm fluent in both clefs, so that's where you're seeing the treble. Where should your horn be placed when sitting down? Are you supposed to hold it up or rested in your lap? Does it affect anything? Not really. I put it on the ground normally when I'm practicing. In the concert, when I'm playing between the pieces, I would not put it on the ground. That would look bad. You risk making a lot of noise, so on your lap. But normally I put it on the ground. Now, just one thing to keep in mind, if it's a very cold floor, I would avoid putting the bell just because the instrument starts getting cold and everything will stop moving. It will probably go sharp, but Zane Mobasher or Mobasser, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, friend. How much are your lessons? Email me euphonium.legends@gmail.com and I'll send you a PDF with all the different packages and list of services I do. I'm not charging too much, so okay, my alarm clock is starting to give me notice that I should move on to next stream. I'm still going to answer a couple more questions, and then I'll have to go to the Patreon live stream. Have you ever played tuba? Yes, not to an extent that I do play euphonium. What about the acids from the juice you are blowing into your instrument? Does it not damage it? What about the acids from the juice? I assume you're talking about that seltzer water. It's not a juice. Does it not damage it? With all fairness, have no clue. I don't think the sparkling water would damage it. I don't pour it. Are you talking about juice in terms of valve oil? Valve oil does not damage it. In regards to the seltzer water, just the water is sparkling, and I normally swallow it before I play it, so I don't think that's a big problem. But hey, I might be wrong. Okay. Euphonous clarified that he meant when I'm playing. So, no, here's the deal. It's actually a very good question, and that's probably that's gonna take me a little bit of time. So here's the rule. I'm gonna try and make it quick. This is what you want to be doing. You put your posture to the point where your neck is around 90 degrees, and then you bring your instrument up, and do not adjust your neck position or your face position. Adjust your instrument. Wherever instrument lands, that's where you want to keep it. I use a support system, so I'm not see this little thing right here? So I'm not even holding it in my arms. It's like literally sitting either on the chair or I have a little pocket in my belt so I can keep it upright. But here's where you want it. First rule, straighten your posture, keep your neck 90 degrees. The reason, so I would like everyone to try this. Put your neck down and try to take a breath. Now straighten your neck and take a breath. Now put your neck up. And you'll notice that when you put your neck up, your neck straightens up, and taking air in and out is very easy. Unfortunately, we cannot play like that, so you want to keep your neck 90 degrees. Instrument comes, and wherever it lands, that's where it should be playing. Now, the problem might be ergonomics, but you'll have to deal with that, either by support system, padding, or just maybe you have phenomenal shoulders or something like that. But when did you start playing? I started playing when I was 7 or 8, I believe. Do you think it's beneficial to always record practice sessions so that you could? Yes, yes, yes. Record, please record yourself. It's super important. I'm getting I'm getting some signals that I should end this live stream. I'm still gonna answer a couple more questions, but yes, absolutely record yourself. You're gonna be your own teacher. This is what normally when you play a brass instrument, you're focused into playing. Your perception of what's coming out the bell is very different. So that's why it's so beneficial to have somebody observing you. When you record yourself, it's more labor, but you learn a lot in terms of your phrasing, a lot in terms of how you project, how your clarity sounds, and your musical IQ. That's the best way to raise your musical IQ. So maybe something that you think is very musical and very emotional sounding in terms of your vibrato or phrasing or rubato. You might be thinking that you're doing all these musical moments, and then you listen to yourself and go, oh, Jesus, am I playing that? And that happened to me so many times. Do record yourself. One of the best ways to learn. Do you know how to play saxophone? Unfortunately, no. How many hours of euphonium practicing are you putting in now that you are needing to self-isolate per day? Probably around 3 hours. You saw in this stream, you saw how I practice. It's relentless. It's nonstop. When I pick an instrument, the amount of time I spend versus the amount of time instrument is not touching my face is like 95% to 5%. So I squeeze in a lot of practice. It's very relentless. It's very fatiguing. My back is even sweaty just because I've been constantly playing, and I don't even talk on the microphone when I practice. It's just a relentless practicing. So 2-3 hours, and then my brain starts shutting down, is becoming counterproductive. But I can achieve a lot in those. You just saw how much better those variations got in 1 hour of practicing 2 variations. So do you know how to play French horn not to extend that I can play euphonium? Okay. What kind of practice do you recommend to improve intonation and find it hard to correct it if I'm too flat? Again, that's a bit of a long question to answer for now. Recording, here's the short answer. Recording, super important, and playing in ensembles. It's hard. Practicing with drone is good, but playing alongside with other brass instruments, it's learning how to distinguish your sound from other sounds, and it's like a multitasking skill. When I play in a brass band, I don't pay attention much to what I'm playing as much as what conductor is doing, what my colleagues are doing. It comes a lot with experience. It's probably the hardest musical IQ skill to develop. It's very hard considering that we play an instrument which is vibrating around our head. Keanu Reynolds, excuse me, has everyone liked this amazing video? If you haven't, do it. Thank you very much, friend. That being said, please do like this video, subscribe to the channel. It seems like you guys enjoying this one, so I'm probably going to be doing more of these. That being said, let me find one more question. Okay, one more question. Okay, one of my patrons, Griffin Roberts, is texting that he's tuning in. Thank you very much for tuning in, my friend. Keep in mind that you're going to be able to tune in to the link on Patreon. Check your Patreon account. There's going to be a live stream in 9 minutes. You can ask your questions there. I will answer all the questions on the chat, or you can message them through Patreon. I'm going to be answering them on live stream. In addition to all the questions that have been pre-submitted. So Griffin, tune into the live stream in 9 minutes. The link is in the Patreon. You should be able to find it. Hit that like button, notifications. I like the Marsh Mero plays. I like that guy. Is there a way to help your tongue relax after a lengthy practice session? Yes, there is. So grab your thumb, put it under your chin, find a hole under your chin and press it in, and you'll notice that it's starting to be, once you press it in, it starts to become, you cannot control your tongue. You can hear how I'm speaking just because it's pressed in. So press it in and start circling clockwise. That's the muscle that's controlling your tongue. So deep tissue massage. So slowly, but you have to press it in. It's not a very comfortable feeling. It's a deep tissue massaging. So press it in and slowly clockwise. Might sound a little weird right now, but hey, you asked. I'm answering. Okay. And I normally do around 20-30 circles every single day. Should I buy an F tuba or euphonium for solos, depending what kind of solos you want to play? If you want to play tuba solos, definitely go with tuba. If you want to play euphonium solos, definitely euphonium. Oh man, this is a lot of fun. I'll have to. I was originally planning to cut this 8 minutes ago, but what do you think about European shaped baritones? They're awesome, my friend. Best ergonomics. I used to play one when I was a kid. Okay, I'm gonna try and pronounce your name because I can read a little bit of Russian. Christov. I don't know. Again, apologies if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly, friend. But again, it's been a while since I've studied Russian in high school, but I don't get to speak much of it, so it's becoming a little bit rusty. They're awesome. I wish I had a good one nowadays, just because the ergonomics, your shoulders are in such a squared, comfortable position, and your arms, you don't need to keep keep the instrument up, and also the center of gravity is close to your body. Don't let anyone tell you that you need to get English style of euphonium unless if you have a really good European shaped baritone. I assume you're talking about they normally call it a German shape. They're fantastic. Use it if you want to get European English type of euphonium, you can, but those are awesome. I wish I had one, and hopefully that answers your question. Friends, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to tune in on Sunday for that high range masterclass. Again, free PDFs. You'll be able to download it regardless whether you're a patron or not. I just wanted to thank you all so much for helping me reach that 20,000 subscriber mark. Do not forget to hit that subscribe and notification button if you haven't subscribed yet and you're new to the channel. I'm uploading a lot of content. It's going to be continuing full steam ahead. You see the quality, how much the quality improved from the first stream. I really put a lot of effort and time doing research. New camera coming soon, so I'll be able to do multi-angle, so I won't have to worry about all the blacking outs of the camera, and the background, the black isofoam is gonna come, and I've got nice colorful LED lights, so that's gonna be looking way prettier. That being said, thank you so much for tuning in. It was my pleasure to show you a little bit of practice, so hopefully you get a little bit of idea how practice session in professional players' life normally goes. So I'm going to be doing more of these. Keep a track of it. I'm going to send out more notifications. Stay well, my friends. Stay safe. I'm really hoping that everyone is holding up strong at this time, just because it's we just have to push it through, and hopefully everything goes back to normal, because I'm getting a little tired of not playing in the concerts. I'm so used to actively playing, and now I'm stuck in my house, which is okay. I get to do these live streams, but again, it gets a little bit frustrating. So I'll make sure you get plenty of content to stay to keep you entertained. That being said, have a great rest of the week. Don't forget to tune in Saturday and Sunday for the upcoming live streams. And that being said, have a great rest of the day. See ya. Bye bye, friends.